So the newest episode of Invincible basically put all the Thragg fraud allegations to rest while also possibly redeeming one of the most controversial characters since Amber in season 1, if we're being honest. Spoilers for the newest episode of Invincible. If you haven't seen my last video on the previous episode, go check that out. But let's dive into this. So first things first, Thragg in this episode was a straight demon, and that was perfectly shown when Mark hit him for the first time in the forehead, and then you just see that flash of like this red aura of anger, and that's when I finally knew this character was going to be like the most powerful and the most peak character in the show. Like, I already knew it since like Omni-Man in season 1, if we're being honest, with the whole train scene. Thragg in this episode is a bit sympathetic. Like, you know, he cares about Viltrum, like he cares about their ways. Like, he even goes on to say,
"The death of any Viltrumite leaves a void in me."
And honestly, when he said that, that's how I knew he was a bit more complex. But at the same time, he's not like this guy that I want to root for. I'm empathetic with his cause, but I'm not sympathetic, you know, like, if that makes sense. And it just kept getting worse beforehand because he was airbending. Like, bro was airbending on Nolan. It really just showcases the power and precision that this guy has compared to every single other character in the show. And like Mark, whenever he's enraged with adrenaline, like, bro literally rips Thaddeus's head off in GTA, obviously. And it really hammered home the idea that Mark and the other characters are just out of their element. Like, there is no way they could possibly defeat him. Like, it really sets that idea up really well. But yeah, like, overall, I think Thragg in this episode was fully redeemable, and we do find out by the end of the episode that Thragg did lead the other Viltrumites to Earth, so this finale is going to be amazing, I think. But yeah, like, the controversial character that was redeemed, bro, Tech Jacket, I think I might owe you an apology. Now listen, like, it's business as usual, you know. She's still being taken care of by Alan to an extent, but at least here, she's actually pulling her weight. She has to use the toxin darts for Viltrumites. Honestly, I don't really mind this. Like, if anything, it makes her a bit more unique than Zack in the original, because with Zack, he was mainly using melee weapons, but since she's not as powerful as Zack, at the very least, she's more useful in a unique way. She has to be precise with her abilities, and honestly, this truly showed me that not every character needs to be the powerhouse of the group. You know, sometimes you need a Hawkeye, and remember that the Avengers lost when Hawkeye wasn't there, so that should already tell you something about Tech Jacket. And surprisingly, I'm starting to warm up to her, or at the very least, I started to warm up to her when her and the other characters were talking about their last meals. And honestly, I think the scene itself is just wholesome, but it truly got me to at least, you know, care about the character more than I did in previous episodes. So yeah, Tech Jacket might not be as powerful as Zack, but at the very least, she's a bit more useful than in previous episodes. But we'll have to wait and see what the future holds for her beyond the finale, because in the comics, spoilers, Tech Jacket only makes like minor appearances after that, like sporadic ones. So we'll just have to wait and see what they do with her next. Other developments in this episode, Oliver, like, that last episode made me like care about Oliver truly. Like, I mean, I obviously did care about him, but like, it made me want to see him do better, and I thought we were gonna get that, but no. Bro did what he always did. He used his fists before he used his brain, and then when the time comes, he goes in for the punch, but Thragg's like, you know what, you're gonna be an example. So he literally takes his arm off and also breaks his jaw clean off. And it's like, bro, why didn't you stay behind with Mark and Nolan? Like, it just would have made the most sense. Like, if your dad couldn't beat him and he's more powerful than you, I think that should tell you you should probably not go for the kill. But anyways, like, at the end, you know, Oliver's in recovery. He's getting a new bionic arm and also a jaw, like a new jaw. And if I'm being real, the part I'm kind of weird about is like, how is the coalition not able to clone anybody? Like, that's like the one thing I have a gripe about, is that like literal Earthlings, aka the Mauler twins, are able to clone themselves and honestly create a perfect copy too. Like, they're not able to transfer like the mind of one person to another, but they're able to clone a perfect copy. So I'm kind of like a little surprised by that, but at the same time, it's whatever. Battle Beast, he's not on fraud watch like a lot of people want to put him on, but I do think they made him a bit weaker. Not to the point where I think he's a fraud, because he has been pulling his weight this entire time he's been with them. But I think with Thragg, I think it's a little weird, because I think in the comic, he's a bit more toe-to-toe with him. But at least here, it's like a little iffy. And the sequence where they blow up Viltrum, that was exhilarating. I loved Mark's reaction to blowing up Viltrum, because it really showed how far he's come, while also highlighting how crazy the situation is. Oh yeah, and the best part of this episode was the fact that we got Optimus Prime and Megatron in this episode. Like, in my opinion, I think that was the best decision since Omni-Man's twist in season 1. It is such an out-of-the-box pull, but at the same time, it just makes the show better. And although we're probably not going to see him again, I do enjoy this. Like, just for the fact that we're recreating that whole rivalry dynamic. Overall, I would give this episode like a 9.5 out of 10. This episode redeemed not only Thragg, but also, more importantly, Tech Jacket, because for a lot of the time she's been on screen, she hasn't really been pulling her weight. But in this one, she pulled her weight in a unique way that makes her more useful in those situations. So yeah, like I love that aspect. I love the whole Viltrum blowing up sequence, because that was just an exhilarating rush of emotion and a beautiful sequence in of itself. I love the writing, like the characters, the personalities, and this really came to a head with the whole last meal conversation. But yeah, if you like this video, go check out another one. I'm reviewing The Boys as of right now, so go check out my last video on that. And if you haven't been caught up on my last few reviews, there should be a playlist like on the screen right now. But yeah, like and subscribe, keep up to date with the next video I post, and I'll see you in the next one.